Hello, this is Abbot Austin Murphy, a Benedictine monk of St. Procopius Abbey. I was asked to offer a reflection on the fifth anniversary of Laudato Si, Pope Francis's encyclical about our care of our common home, this earth we live on. So this is my thoughts. I do find the encyclical a very stimulating document from the Holy Father for a couple reasons. One is that it underlines really some basic principles that are really at work in our Christian tradition and sometimes can be lost in our modern age. So to give a concrete example, consider this. A few years ago, I was working with wood. I was making something out of wood, and it eventually involved me having to drill a piece of 2x2, right? So if you know what a 2x2 is, it's half the width of a 2x4, right? So it's not a very thick piece of wood. It's made of pine. And I needed to drill screws into this piece of wood to connect two parts. As I was drilling the screws into the 2x2, the piece of 2x2, it began to split, right? Now I wanted to get this project done. So I didn't want to have to the other alternative thing to do is to pre-drill a hole in it and then put the screw in so that it doesn't split the wood. But I didn't want to do that, so I kept pushing. And as I did so, the wood just began to split all the more. Okay, so what's the point of this parable, if you will? Well, a 2x2 has certain properties to it, certain natural properties. So that allows you to do certain things with it, but it also means you can't do other things with it. So it didn't belong to the natural properties and potentials of this piece of wood to be drilled in this way, right? I had to stop, pause, and think about how to work with this particular material, right? And so life is like that. Things have natures, and with the natures that they have, that means that they have certain properties and potentials. Sometimes we have to pause and think about what are the properties of the things that we're working with, and then what are the potentials, right? When we do that, we know how to work with materials to get the most out of them. But if we ignore the natural properties and potentials of the things that we're working with, well, what happens? We make a mess of it, right? We're in a rush, we want to get something done, but my piece of 2x2 would have cracked, it wouldn't have worked. I would have had to start all over. So this is a little lesson in a way about things have natural properties. They have potentials, and we have to listen in a way and appreciate what those are if we're going to get the most out of the materials that we're working with. Now, in Pope Francis's encyclical, it speaks at times about how things aren't just raw materials. They have properties. They're not just things. We can't just manipulate them any which way we want. But the materials of this world have to be respected, the natures of this world. And then Pope Francis does note that this is related to a larger moral project that we're really about doing God's will and reaching our own fulfillment as human beings. Because just as material things have certain natures and potentials, and we have to learn to work with them to get the most out of them, so our spiritual side, spiritual things, have natures. They have potentials, right? So it's not enough, or it's not good for us simply to act as if our souls or the spiritual life can simply be, do what you want. No, we have to listen there too for what is the nature of the human soul. Right? And what are some of the spiritual laws, so to speak, that are there, so that we learn how to work with them and get the most out of our lives, really, right? So it's about human flourishing. And things have natures and properties and potentials that we have to be aware of. We can't treat everything as if it's a raw material to be formed and shaped and used however we want, right? So God has given us this beautiful creation. It has all these wonderful properties to it. But we have to listen and pay attention and learn, right? What are those properties? And what then is the best way to work with things so that we respect their properties and get the most out of them? So that's just a quick reflection I'd offer for this fifth anniversary of the Pope's encyclical Laudato Si. I hope it helps you, and may God bless you.